Well, boys and girls, I sure am leaking. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Neverending Project. I hope you all had a fantastic holiday. We're back in the garage. We're gonna do some more work on the engine bay. If you guys remember from our last episode, I did some work with my ignition coils and then I reworked and installed some new boots on here. Go check that video out if you haven't already. But today what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pull a turbo out. It's one of the things that I've more or less been dreading to do. I had a little bit of a mishap a couple years ago, but I'll show you guys what that's all about. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I'm hoping you guys don't mind this view. Figured it'd be a little nicer, that way I can, more or less talk you guys through what I'm working on as I'm working on it. So let me know in the comments if you guys want to keep it this way. Otherwise, I was thinking about trying other camera angles and stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna try to get these quick release clamps off. This one seems to have some debris inside of it. Let's see if we can cut it loose here. Oh man, so much for quick release. Now let's try this. Let's pull this off the turbo. And then, there we go. All right. All these seals are looking really dry. I'm gonna have to lube them up. If you guys aren't familiar with what this is, these are Harget quick release clamps. They are relatively affordable. They may not look as nice as, say, like the Vibrant setup or anything like that, or any other V-bandish style quick release clamps for intercooler piping. But this stuff's still pretty sweet. Makes it easy to do jobs like this without having to worry about having to pull up a bunch of couplers. Not that that's a whole lot of work, but whatever. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's see. Forget what this is. Let's get some light in here. All right. So a few things we're gonna do is, well, first of all, here, let me show you why I'm dreading to pull this out. So I'm gonna grab it by the intake. Now let's stare at the center hub here. Yeah, it's not supposed to do that. And actually, anyway, before I get into that, let's go ahead and finish one thing at a time. So let's go ahead and undo that quick. All right. One thing I don't like here is it looks like it's a little seamed up. I don't like that at all. Come on. I'm gonna have to hit it with a hammer. One of the other things I want to check is, for one, my heat wrap is obviously getting undone here. My downpipe's in two sections. It connects by V-band here, obviously, and then right down there, there's another V-band clamp, and then it curls in with the flex joint to the actual exhaust. So while we're in here, I also want to divorce my wastegate. I was wondering what that was. Yeah, I'm gonna divorce my wastegate, and then, yeah, that'll be some fun stuff. But again, one thing at a time. I'm really bad at that. Yeah, I'm gonna grab a hammer. There we go. And I'm gonna pull all that off because, I mean, you see that gap, it should be sitting flush. This is also in a terrible spot. All right, there we go. But yeah, anyway, while I'm on threading this, essentially what ended up happening is when I received the turbo, it was essentially brand new. I mean, it had less than 1,000 miles on it. And it was running, and I had no idea that they had revised this, but it was running the older style clamps, and I'll actually show you here. These are These are the older styles, and as you can see, there's a decent amount of carbon buildup, which is an obvious indicator that these were leaking. And I don't know what's up with this design. I don't know if it's the material that it's made out of or whatever, but what ends up happening is the bolts end up stretching and backing out. Now, they did say that they used to use steel bolts, which after quite a few heat cycles, it would obviously start backing out and, you know, stretching and whatever, which isn't what you want there. But long story short, the center hub rotating assembly doesn't have anything to support itself to. It is literally just being held by the exhaust housing. Now I have tried to see if I can, I'm probably gonna have to get a hold of somebody that can fabricate this for me, but you know, they make mounts to support bigger turbos. Now mine isn't giant by any means to require that amount of support, but because this backs out, I want to relieve as much stress as I can and, you know, evade something like that happening again. But yeah, for now, again, I'll show you all of this. Jeez, I'll show it all once I pull this out. But yeah, it's for those reasons that I've been dreading to pull all of this out, because I don't want to see how much damage that caused. I mean, I saw it before, and my exhaust wheel did make contact with the housing, which really sucked. Like I said, it's a bummer, you know, it's a brand new turbo, essentially a brand new turbo, and for a lack of a better phrase, I ruined it. And, you know, it's nobody's fault necessarily. Neither the previous owner nor myself were aware of this revision. So the only way I ended up finding out about it is when it actually happened to me. You know, that's not necessarily when you want things to happen. Or I should say rather, that's not when you want to find things out, is, you know, after the fact. All right. I also do want to get a new one of these. I want to revise my entire intake setup. This is a very inadequate filter for my turbo. That, and this is some very cheap silicone coupling. So you can imagine with ease how much I could compress this. So I'm under the impression that, you know, under full boost, I'm sure I'm collapsing this a bit. You know, which also great for performance. Okay, I feel a little better. Just checking for shaft play. That's essentially what I'm terrified of. Like I said, brand new turbo essentially. So let's go ahead and loosen this up. Then I gotta undo my water lines. Don't remember what the sizes are. I actually haven't messed with the turbo in a while, which is great. You don't want to have to make a habit out of that, because if you are, well, you got other problems. Now, I was planning on draining the coolant first, but I think I'll do that at a later date. It's still a little chilly in here. Though, side note, look at that. So, big shout out to my wife. She got that for me for Christmas. Get yourself a girl that not only supports your hobby, but does everything she can to make sure you can do it comfortably. But anyway, let's hope we don't lose too much coolant here. Yeah, there was one bolt. This is the part I say that that wasn't the best way to do this. I just don't want to let it hang and then all of a sudden I'm just dumping coolant everywhere. And I gotta pull my AN line here. I don't remember where I have my wrenches. Though to be fair, I don't think I actually have the right size for this. I think I've been using like a 12 mil. No, did I use a 13? No, I didn't. I must have used a standard. What, really? You guys, I'm usually not that bad at guessing. Oh, there it is. Yeah, see, I'm still leaking. You can see all that carbon buildup there. Put you right there. I am going to have to and that boost line's in there pretty tight. I think I normally do it from back here. I don't remember, but all of this I want to revise. Yeah, let's go ahead and just pull it out. I'm probably leaking a little bit from there if I was able to pull it out that easy. Sorry guys, again, just kind of all over the place. All right, so let's pull that water line from down there. Oh, come on. Ah, there we go. There goes the other washer. So we'll just save these. I should pull the other one so I don't drop it, and hopefully it doesn't get stuck in the subframe or something. Oh, cool, it looks really nice though. I mean, not that it shouldn't, but it's always nice to get that confirmation that, you know, things aren't going terribly wrong. And now, I'm gonna try to get that 10 AN out of here. I think this is my 10, yeah. This is literally the worst thing. There we go. All right, that should be all of them. So let's pull this thing out through here. Do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oh no, there we go. And there it is. All right, you guys. This is what a Garrett GTX2867 looks like. Everything's looking pretty clean in there. Dropping some water. Let's grab some cardboard and we'll have a sit. Anyway, you see this? Turbos aren't supposed to do that. Like I said, that's one of the main reasons I want to take it apart. I want to see if I can fix that or see what I can do to fix that. In the meantime, let's take a look the rest of the stuff here. I was aware of some slight leakage. I don't know from where. It doesn't look like it's coming from my V-band. You can see that there is no signs of carbon buildup around the edges of the ring, which is the easiest way to tell. Let's pull this fastener out of here before I lose it. Where's the other one? Up there. Clean this guy up. All right. But yeah, it doesn't look too bad down here. No signs of cracking or anything like that, which is something else I want to look into. But if you see down here, hopefully you guys can see down here. I'm trying my best to be conscious of you guys having eyes up here, not down on my face. So my wastegate sits right here. Now you can see I've got the wastegate tube merging back into the exhaust down there. And that's not terrible, but I would prefer to separate my exhaust gases coming out of the turbine away from the additional gases coming straight out of the engine. Just to separate that flow, get a little bit of additional performance out of that. Essentially, you know, you're introducing more gases into an already running, you know, fluid stream, essentially. So, you know, you disrupt the flow you have going on with that addition. But I need to find out where I can dump it. I was thinking about doing like a 90-degree angle straight down and hopefully clearing the drive shaft and the transfer case. But again, I'll have to get underneath the car to really see how that's gonna go. And then I would just install a block-off plate down there. So we'll see how that goes. So these are the water lines that I'm gonna be redoing. So you can see I've got a water line going right back into the factory line here. And it's this stainless steel one, and it curls all the way down underneath the exhaust manifold and then it would come up here. So if you can imagine, that's a pretty long, unnecessarily long stream. So you've got your water in, goes into the center hub, and then you've got the water out up here. Makes a giant loop under all of this, comes up through there, and then back in here. So what I want to do is I want to put a line that instead comes up and over, and so essentially a third of the length. And then I also want to get nicer heat jackets. These are pretty, I don't know, pretty lame. But yeah, anyway, let's go look at the turbo now. I'm gonna see if I can actually even take it apart. So I've got these Nordlock washers, which are fan-freaking-tastic. Primarily because, well, obviously I haven't had to deal with having to retighten any of these bolts. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's see if we can do this. Yeah, it's a 10. Grab a breaker bar. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it with a bigger wrench here, but so we're going to go like this so we can stop it from spinning. And let's start over here. It's tightening, loosening. Might be far too small. All right, so I'm just doubling up here and I'm increasing the torque. There we go. So, nice little trick if you're having to use wrenches for stuff. You need to undo something that's a little tighter than what you're able to get. That's another sucky part here. I think I have to use the open-ended side here. I essentially want to find out what it's not clamping onto that is allowing it to move around. That's because, I mean, you can clearly see that these bolts are tight, so I don't know what's going on. All right, so let's take a look at this stuff. But anyway, let's see. Okay, we don't have any shaft play, so I am okay with that. I'm feeling a lot better, you guys. This is genuinely one of the most dreadful things to have to realize is, like, these turbos are expensive, and I got a stupid deal on the entire setup, like hardware-wise. And it was essentially exactly what I was looking for. It literally couldn't have gone any more perfect. And, to have to come to realize that a turbo that you bought with less than 1,000 miles for, a fraction of what they cost new is, your turbo on its way out, or having to start budgeting for a new one. Though if that were to ever happen, being that I don't have any plans of doing any crazy hardware changes, I'd just upgrade to a Gen 2. This is a Gen 1 GTX. I'm just hoping that there isn't any more visible damage on the inside. But with all of this, I can take a look at if I'm leaking, and if I am, what do I need to do to fix this? Well, boys and girls, I sure am leaking. And you can see I'm leaking all the way around. I just need to find out how do I seal you? Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, you can see the very shiny spots there. How my exhaust wheel ended up making contact with the inside. All right, let me grab a towel here. Carbon buildup's looking pretty healthy though, at least as far as I'm aware. Doesn't look like we're leaking out of here, so that's really good. We're just leaking out of our exhaust housing, which is a killer on spool, but we'll figure it out. That's what this channel's all about. Running into issues, and yeah, look at that. What it should be, what it looks like when it's leaking. Again, if you've got an aftermarket turbo, and I mean, it applies with factory ones too, but more often than not, factory turbochargers, especially like these new ones, they have, a lot of them are actually coming with a V-band, which is fantastic. I wish this was a V-band setup, but it's not, because then we wouldn't have to deal with bolts and having to deal with that. But yeah, you've either got the circlip setup that you'll have on factory. Some of them are just built into the exhaust manifold. But either way, the point of that is that if you do have any kind of setup that has a separation, you can look for carbon deposits or buildup, and that goes with like your entire exhaust system too. If you've got any of that, you're leaking from that area. Whether it be gasket issues if you've got a gasket, like a 2 or 3 bolt setup, stuff like that. Well, you guys, there we are. I know that this is kind of more of like on the boring side for car stuff, so I apologize. It's winter. This is kind of just the nature of things. Far too cold to really go out and do anything, and we don't even have snow for me to take the A3 out and go have some fun or anything. So hopefully I can keep it entertaining enough. And as always, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for sticking around. I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.